People stay in motels for simple reasons. They're tired. They're traveling. They just need a place to sleep before moving on. No one expects a motel room to become the last known place they ever existed. This story begins on a quiet highway, far from any major city, where a small roadside motel stood for decades. It wasn't famous. It wasn't popular. Most people barely remembered its name. Truck drivers, solo travelers, and people passing through would stop there for one night and forget it by morning. Except, not everyone checked out. On paper, the motel had nothing unusual about it. Standard rooms. One office. A parking lot facing the road. A flickering neon sign that worked when it wanted to. But over the years, staff noticed something disturbing. Guests would arrive alone. They would check in normally. They would go to their rooms. And then, they would vanish. No luggage taken. No car missing. No signs of panic. Just empty rooms. At first, management assumed people had simply left early. But room keys were still inside. Beds untouched. Personal belongings still placed neatly, as if the guests expected to return. One night turned into several. Several turned into a pattern. And the rooms involved were always the same. Rooms 6 and 7. Staff quietly avoided assigning them. Not because of rumors, but because of experience. Guests in those rooms complained more than others. They reported strange things that were difficult to write down on complaint forms. They said the room felt occupied even when empty. They said time felt slower inside. Some claimed they woke up hearing footsteps that stopped when they opened their eyes. One guest reported something far stranger. He said that while lying awake, he noticed the room felt larger, as if the walls had shifted slightly outward. The furniture looked the same, but the space between things felt wrong, stretched. He checked out at dawn and never explained further. Another guest left a note at the front desk instead of speaking. It read, "Something watches from the corners when the lights go off." That guest disappeared 2 nights later. Police investigations led nowhere. There was no sign of forced entry, no evidence of crime. The motel sat in an open area. Nothing to hide. But one detail stood out. Every missing guest had checked in alone. And every disappearance happened at night, between 2 o'clock and 4 a.m., as if something followed a schedule. The motel would likely have remained forgotten if not for one final incident. A guest, a long-distance traveler, had been recording voice memos on his phone during the trip. Nothing unusual, just personal thoughts, meant for no one else. His phone was found on the bedside table in room 7. The final recording lasted less than a minute. First, his voice was calm. He talked about the silence, about how the room felt too quiet. Then his tone changed. He stopped mid-sentence and whispered, "Someone's standing where the mirror should be." There was a pause. Then he said something that made investigators uneasy. "It doesn't have a reflection." The recording ended with the sound of movement. Not footsteps, but something closer, softer, like fabric being dragged slowly across the floor. No scream, no struggle, just silence. The motel closed shortly after. Rooms 6 and 7 were sealed. Furniture left behind. Dust collected. The building still stands today, but no one stays there anymore. Locals avoid it, because some places don't need locks. The disappearances were never solved. No bodies were found. No suspects identified. And the official explanation was simple: voluntary disappearance. But those who worked there know better. They know people don't vanish midnight without their shoes. They know rooms don't feel larger for no reason. They know mirrors don't lie, unless something else is standing in their place. Even now, travelers report seeing the motel sign flicker when passing by, despite the power being disconnected years ago. And sometimes, a single light appears in one room, only one, as if someone is still checked in, waiting,